But what we see is going on is we see corporate globalization going on. And we see the corporations in a position of power that they've very seldom enjoyed in the last few centuries, reorganizing the world in their image and in their interest. And that's what these initials represent. They represent pieces of that corporate globalization and the reorganization of the economic system of the world. But is it to our advantage that this is being reorganized? No, of course. And when I hear things like Libby referred to it, the new council, the North American Competitiveness Council. When workers hear the word competitiveness, what we hear is code for lower wages and higher profits. That's what we hear. Because that's what it means when they're talking about competing in the world. They want us to lower our standards. When we hear the North American Free Trade Agreement or the very sadly misnamed Security and Prosperity Partnership, which to me doesn't represent at all what's going on there. But what we see is we see corporations, the corporate business interests, reorganizing North America using Mexican labor, American capital, Canadian resources, and South American resources if they can throw them in. That's what we see. So this isn't in our interest. That's the reason why it's always covered with names that don't make any sense, with initials that numb your mind, and with very little public debate when they come in. This is being done behind closed doors. The drivers of it are the corporations and business interests of the world, and there's very little in it for workers or for average Canadians. Those who are prepared to sacrifice liberty for security deserve neither. Thomas Jefferson.
Bill Saunders mentioned the NACC, which is the North American Competitive Council. How many of you people actually know what the NACC is? There's one, two, hold your hands up high. How many people seriously know who's on the NACC? We have Mr. Dominic D. Alessandro, President and CEO of Manulife Financial, which is a Canadian subsidy of an American insurance company. Do we want them dictating to Parliament what our rules and laws should be? No! Paul Desmarais Jr., Chairman and Co-CEO, Power Corporation of Canada. I don't even know what company that is. I've never even heard of them. And they're going to be telling our Parliament the best way to initiate trade regulations and how to regulate our natural resources and our currency. The next one is David A. Ganong, President of Ganong Brothers Limited. The next one is Richard L. George, President and CEO of Suncor Energy. By the way, Canadians, those of you who care about our water and think it's not a non-renewable resource, for every barrel of oil out of the oil sands, it takes 2 barrels of water. Look it up. It's E. Hunter Harrison, and he's the President and CEO of, and they don't like their employees to say this name because Canada is a bad thing, of Canadian National Railway Company. So CN is in on it. Linda Hassenfratz, CEO of Linamore Corporation. Michael Sabia, President and CEO of Bell Canada Enterprises. Annette Verscharoon, President of the Canadian subsidy of Home Depot Canada. Richard E. Wall, President and CEO of the Bank of Nova Scotia. And this is a who's who of what Eisenhower warned the baby boom generation in 1963 about. This is the industrial military complex. This is the war machine of the United States dictating to Parliament in Canada. We want these rules, we want these trade, we want these in place, and we want them now, and here's our mandate. So the American corporations are Campbell Soup Company, Chevron Corporation, Ford Motor Company. Because Honda and Nissan are pretty much kicking their ass, so they need to find something else to do. FedEx Corporation, the General Electric Company, which owns NBC, which owns quite a few American military companies. You then have General Motors Corporation, Kansas City Southern, Lockheed Martin Corporation. Interesting fact about Lockheed Martin, ladies and gentlemen, when you fill out your Canadian census, that information is processed by Lockheed Martin. And that information is processed down in the States. And that information is available to Homeland Security so they can find out everything they need to know about Canada. Do we want that? And I left the last out because it's my favorite company to pick on. Let's talk about Walmart. That's all you got about Walmart? This is Vancouver. We wouldn't even let them build an environmentally safe store. What do you say about Walmart? Walmart isn't on the NACC. Thank you. They are going to be dictating the Parliament. A company whose mandate is to force manufacturing good-paying jobs off of Canada and the United States overseas to cut costs, to cut labor, and so that they can make their product cheaper for us to consume. And I want to throw that in. Us to consume. We're just as guilty at this system, ladies and gentlemen. We've allowed this system to take place. We've allowed the system to work. Why? Because we shop at Walmart. Because it's cheaper. I'm guilty. It's cheaper sometimes to go there. I admit that. But is that right? No, it's wrong. It is wrong because by doing that, we're feeding this machine. We're forcing our jobs offshore. We need to stop. We need to buy local. Somebody in the crowd earlier when I was speaking asked, what can we do? Well, we can start, buy local. For your food, for your meat, go up to Abbotsford. They got farms. They got butcher shops. You can buy whatever you need. You don't need to shop. Let's go to Granville Island Market and support them. Go to the Lonsdale Keys, support them. Go to New West, support them. Go to the Cloverdale Market. Go to where? Commercial Drive. Commercial Drive. Go to your local stores, your mom and pop stores. For one day, April 18th, that's American Tax Day. There's a global movement around the world. We want to show these people. We want to show them that we're awake, that we know about their private banking scheme, that we know about the Federal Reserve. You know what? I've grown up. I'm only 29. I turned 30 this year. My father has made me, since in the 80s, watch Nelson Mandela released from jail. I watched a student in the Tiananmen Square get run over by a tank. I was forced to watch all these things on TV, and I always got mad at my dad because there was a hockey game or a wrestling event, and it was something that, you know, a kid would want to watch. And my dad said, you have to pay attention, because if you don't pay attention, who will? Do you expect the guy next door to pay attention? If you're not paying attention, how are you going to form an opinion on what's going on in the world? Stand up for your rights as Canadians. Let these corporations know that you're pissed off, that our rights have been taken, that they've taken our rights and they've given them away to corporations. States, should people not be able to freely speak about what's going on? Should we not be able to freely speak as Canadians and say, no, this trade deal sucks and I don't want it, and I want fair trade, not free trade, and I want people to be able to make money off their land, and I want people to be able to prosper with their money, and I don't want people overtaxed, and I don't want $600,000 houses that people on incomes of $60,000 a year cannot afford. I know, I'm a homeowner. I make $50,000 a year. I'm not lying making that out. I have a $260,000 mortgage. I barely manage enough to pay my bills, and I work as much fucking overtime as I can, because you know what? That's what they want. They want people to be slaves. They want you to not pay attention. They want you to work to the bone and not look around and realize what's happened. These are the corporations that are going to be dictating to our Parliament what the rules are. These are the corporations that are going to dictate to our Parliament, this is how you should manage your natural resources. This is how your labor should be. This is the standards of your environment. Is that what Canadians want? Do we want corporations telling our governments what we should have? So we stand up as Canadians across the country, which is going on right now, and all across cities across Canada, and say, we want accountability. We want you to tell us the truth. We're not asking, we're not requesting as Canadian citizens. By damn it, we're demanding that you come out and tell us the truth. We're demanding that you tell us what this deal is. We're demanding to know why you're having corporations dictate to Parliament behind closed doors what the rules are.